wow, what a fucking nerd. My son would be like, Auntie Emily's a bookish nerd.
Today's video is potentially very torturous depending on people's experiences, but today we wanted to basically talk about our reading journeys from the beginning of first learning to read to now.
Some key moments perhaps is best.
Yeah, so we've devised a list of questions. We also highly encourage, if you're interested, to do this yourself as well, because I'm really interested in other people's answers. I know that everyone has quite a unique experience with reading. Should we kick it off?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, what was your experience with reading in school?
Alright, so for reference, I have no childhood memories because trauma. So this is based off what I've been told. My understanding is that it took a while for me to learn how to read, longer than everyone else in my class. There was talk of me being kept behind doing reading recovery. Obviously, as an adult, I'm very much in the camp of all of those ways of thinking about children and reading is extremely problematic and causes more harm than good, and the idea that children should learn to read at 5 or 6 is actually absolutely absurd. Not all children are ready to read. Some are more than others. It's completely individual, and heaps of studies show that learning to read later in life, not only is there no difference in comprehension once you're an adult, but actually children who learn later in life without that forced learning that can be extremely traumatic, those children have more self-confidence, more love, more appreciation for reading. So all of that to say is I'm pretty sure my experiences were not very good. I was always told I was really bad at spelling. I'm still bad at spelling, and that obviously is related to reading, because if you can't decode a word, you can't pronounce a word, so that affects your reading. So yeah, eventually I caught up, and I was pretty just standard. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. Definitely wasn't my jam though. I wasn't a bookish girly as a child. Yeah, so those are my early experiences. What about you?
Yeah, see, for me, from what I know, I'm pretty sure I learnt to read quite easily, and I was often...
Oh yeah, no, sorry, I definitely was told like multiple times that Emily's homework was the same as my homework, and we're 4 years apart.
And that's so unnecessary.
But like, it's fine if it is.
That's the
issue is the way that you're being, it's being perceived.
You were probably being told that in like a, wow, you're behind, Hannah.
Yeah, it's like, no, we're different.
Yeah.
Like,
I also... Yeah, so I remember, in terms of learning to read, I can't really remember it, but I think it was pretty easy.
She was a smarty pants.
And yeah, but again, it was purely just by coincidence that I guess that's how my brain works, is that it was easy to pick it up. But I do think it was really not good to be told that they had this thing called, I think, reading levels, like you're reading at this age level. So I would be told that I had the reading level of someone a lot older, and I just think that was really not good, because not that I don't think it went to my head that much, but it definitely can contribute to making kids think that makes them superior, that I was somehow superior to other children because I happened to pick up reading easier than others. And it's just not true. It doesn't make you superior in any way. It's not...
Reading is one skill. It's skill just the thing. Of many in life. It's not the most important one, and it's, definitely how reading is taught is an issue.
Yeah, 100%. The way... That's really interesting, because I don't remember that at all, having the same homework or something.
No, I don't remember either. I was told that.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Yeah.
But...
by our mother, just like for reference, who's telling me this.
I didn't have a heap of friends through primary school, or like I did, but I didn't hang out with friends often outside of school. I did read a lot, and that was fun. And I think that's a very common experience for kids who, either don't, for whatever reason, don't spend a lot of time with other kids, turn to books for that sort of companionship, for like a type of companionship. It was fun. So if anything, you could almost say, again, saying like, oh, well, Emily's reading so well, it's like, well, maybe Hannah was learning social skills.
Yeah, I definitely had.
Hannah was much better socially. Yeah, I was behind in social skills, but our capitalist society doesn't really care about the social skills as much because that's not as easily quantifiable.
No,
they're just like, can you read this? I also remember, I don't know if I told you this, I did, I guess, what you would call an OG audiobook, handmade at home audiobooks. I loved my books so much that I, on like a tape cassette, cassette recorder, I would record myself reading my favorite book so I could then listen to them at night as I fell asleep.
Wow, what a fucking nerd. Like, my son would be like, Auntie Emily's a bookish nerd. Like, he says that with love. He'll be like, I'm a gaming nerd, but like, that's still funny.
Yeah.
What did you read as a child versus what do you read now?
When I first started to read, the books I loved to read as a kid. Clarice Bean was a big one. That was about a girl, and in the book, she wrote a book. And I remember my best friend and I were like, we're way more interested in that book, like the book inside the story. And she eventually, I think I sort of aged out of that reading that author's books by this point, but she did end up releasing it. So that was obviously a common thought that was like...
Great marketing strategy.
Great marketing strategy. I loved Dear Dumb Diary. That I definitely remember recording that. I loved Judy Moody books. I dressed up as a Judy Moody character for school when you had to come as a bookish thing, but no one understood it, so I had to just explain it. It wasn't...
you're one of those.
Yeah, it was.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I also started reading, we all read Harry Potter. I personally didn't start reading Harry Potter until I was 8 or 9. And the books by that time, the first Harry Potter book was released when I was born, like 1997. So they were definitely already out. And
well, that makes me feel old. Right.
In high school, I read a lot of Jodi Picoult. It was a lot of other girls were reading it at the time as well. It was like a first dive into realistic fiction, just about people. And I look back now, and I've reread a little bit now, and it's probably not my cup of tea anymore, but I do think it's still good for if you, I read a lot of YA books in high school, again, those early first 2 or 3 years of high school, especially because that was when I did watch a lot of BookTube. So I read a lot of books recommended by people, a lot of which were YA, because the BookTubers themselves were
YA girlies.
YA girlies.
Yeah.
What do I read now? Now I read a lot of standalone books. I read thrillers, mysteries, whodunits. I read a lot of contemporary, classic, literary fiction, a lot of sad divorced woman novels. I love divorced woman genre. Slice of life, but I feel like I hate that title. I get that it does describe it, but that makes it sound really like, it gives off vibes like it's like cutesy and cozy, and it's not. It's just that books that are showing a character's life, snippets of their life, and it's just kind of interesting, and nothing really happens in the book. You're just getting all these snippets.
There's not like a goal or motivation.
So there's not a goal.
Like, it is what it is.
You're just seeing them, and a lot of the time it's from...
It is what it is. I feel like that would be a better way to describe it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not reading it expecting it to
it's like
change.
Or a character novel is what I would call it.
Right.
You go on a journey with this character. You're not there for the whole journey.
As is where is.
Yeah, as is where is. I try to read a lot of New Zealand authors. I don't know. That's what I read as an adult now.
Again, lack of memories.
Your book taste?
Kind of making it up. I definitely enjoyed Andy Griffiths. I don't know how to say his last name. That kind of stuff. Fun, quirky, jokesy books. I definitely have memories of reading that. High school, I definitely didn't read much at all. I read your classic Hunger Games, not Vampire Diaries. Twilight, yeah, but that's what I mean. I didn't really read anything other than that. Like, I didn't read Vampire Diaries. I don't even think I read Divergent or anything like that. Like, I really only read the main ones, and that was kind of it. I really read nothing pretty much up until 2020, literally. And then I started reading because I started my degree, and I stumbled into the world of romance and never looked back. So I read predominantly romance, but I also read a lot of non-fiction, like feminist, witchcraft, indigenous lit, activist literature, that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then romance. So it's kind of a bit different. Pretty much totally different. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I read.
Next question is, how has your relationship with reading changed from when you first started reading through to now?
So like I already said, yeah, I didn't really read a lot, and I don't actually think that was to do with not enjoying reading. I just didn't have time for it. Like, I was a dancer. Like, at one point in my last couple of years of school, I was taking, I think I had like 9 dance classes a week. I had drama, I had singing, and then I was usually choreographing.
I didn't feel like we lived in the same house.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah.
She could have been dead in a ditch. We wouldn't have known because she was never home.
Yeah, like literally. Like, I used to have multiple dance classes on, and I took all performing arts classes at school, so I was normally making stuff for that and making stuff for junior classes that I would like mentor in. So I was wagging school to work out at the gym and go to have private dance classes with my contemporary dance teacher. I did get into dance school. I mean, I did quit because I couldn't stand it, but I did get in. It was worth it. But I did not have time to read.
Nick Miller lawyer vibes.
I am Nick Miller. I
passed the bar. I just wanted to be a bartender.
I am Nick Miller. Yeah. So I didn't read, but I would argue that I've always been into story and creative and emotions, and I think that's why I'm obsessed with romance now, because the misunderstanding of romance is that it's about the happily ever after. And it's like, for me, it's not. Like, once they get together, I'm done, I'm over it. I don't want to see you happy. I want to see the full spectrum of human emotion. And so now I read well over 100 books a year. Like, that's pretty standard. I kind of will intentionally try and read less, because normally if I get too much reading in, it's actually because I'm dissociating from reality and not sleeping well. Like, reading 30 Blue Alien romance books in a month is like not good for you. Like,
yeah. We've talked about this before, how it's really easy, I think, for people to equate like, oh, going on your phone and everything, that's so bad for you. But like, you know, reading is so good for your soul. But at the end of the day, if you are reading through till 3 a.m. and then you only get 4 hours sleep, something like that, that's still not good. That's just as bad as staying up on your phone.
Yeah, and like, I'm not dissing the books. The books are amazing. It's just that if they're really easy to read and you read a lot of them, like the TikToks where the girls are like, holy shit, the sun's coming up, that has fucking happened to me so many times. And I'm like looking at my child that's asleep next to me, like,
oh no,
shit,
you're gonna wake up soon.
You are gonna be awake, and I am like, do I even bother going back to sleep? Like, it's a big, it's not good for you.
So you went like from 0 to 100.
No, literally
over 100.
0, and then my goal was 1 book every 2 weeks in 2020. So I read 27 books. The next year, 136 books.
Wow.
And this is the first year just gone that my goal was 52. So 1 book a week.
Damn.
And I read 90. So, like, I was intentionally prioritizing
crazy.
other stuff and writing and stuff as well. So, yeah, that's my journey with reading.
Any bad experiences with reading or your relationship to reading? I got this out of a school library, and to me a school library technically should be all YA. Not really, like I get that like there's books, but I think you need to be very intentional.
There should be stickers on it.
There should be stickers.
Warning, content warning.
Because this library also was accessible. It's the same library that the intermediate school, which I did go to. Those are 10-year-olds. So it could have been a 10-year-old picking up this book as well. Like
Ice Cream Girls, that sounds like a story a 10-year-old would pick up.
Legit, that's why I thought it was, I was like, the Ice Cream Girls. Yeah, and I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't talk to anyone about it. In a very similar vein again, it was recommended, we had to choose a book to do something on, and this was in year 10, so like 14, 15 years old. And there was a list of books for recommendation that my English teacher put on the wall. One of them was The Handmaid's Tale. And I was reading it in class and came across what, if you've read this book, you will know a very famous scene, which again, very explicit. And I reacted obviously to it in the classroom. I was like, holy shit, like, oh my God, what is happening? So then people were like, what? They wanted to read it. And my teacher kind of was a bit like, oh, like, Emily, you know, she kind of got annoyed at me, but I was like, you recommended this book, which has a very explicit scene that I just had a genuine, I am a child reaction to. This is slightly traumatic. And of course, other people are going to be interested in why Emily's upset at this book she's reading. I was just like, you recommended the book to me.
What was she annoyed about?
I think that I was passing it around, that we were all passing it around and reading this scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Why would she? Yeah, no.
But I was a bit like, look, I'm not intentionally doing that. I am just genuinely gobsmacked by this scene. This is, you know. Anyways, so again, those are probably when I think of like bad experiences with reading is, stumbling across that type of content without any warning. And it really does underlie that need, and why trigger warnings and everything is really important.
I think, you know, as an adult now, I think the entire school system is a bad experience in regards to reading. I think it screws up all kids, whether or not it appears like you're, you know, a success. Like, I do have an experience like yours where I read a book in my parents' room. And it's weird because, like, to this day I can remember
Hang on, let me guess. Is that Attic, Roses in the Attic?
No, that one was given to me by my mum to read. That one was just given to me. The trauma continues. No, that was interesting. Flowers in the Attic is a curious one.
Flowers in the Attic, that's it.
Flowers in the Attic is a curious one. No, this was a memoir, you know, trigger warning, of a memoir of a girl who was kidnapped when she was 6 years old on her way to school, and then held captive for like 15, 20 years or something. I think, in like Germany or somewhere like that. And I read that maybe when I was like 12 or something, and I wasn't supposed to be reading it. Maybe I was even younger than that. I could have been like 10, I don't know. And I'm just like, did that contribute to a lot of fear about stuff? And I think that's the thing. Sometimes I think
that's really interesting, because just not knowing that you read that book at such a young age, my family, instigated by my mum, but you were definitely on board as well. The both of you have always been like very paranoid about locking doors, locking car doors, even when you're in them. Because what if someone runs up at you at the traffic lights when you're stopped? Like,
valid, kids.
You know, like all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Super paranoid. And again, I don't like to use the word paranoid because like it's a genuine concern.
This is the problem with paranoia, is you can convince yourself it's valid.
Yeah. But definitely, like, we had like a family password, and I didn't realize that wasn't common. If you don't know what a family password is, it's like if you're...
My family has a password.
Yeah.
I forgot it.
If someone like random picked you up or tried to like take you somewhere.
Like even your friends. Like family friends, right?
Or
like,
an uncle or something.
Yeah.
You would say to them
your
like...
mum's friend's husband, like...
And your parents...
Doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah. And if your parents have not told you that this was happening, that uncle, someone was picking you up after school, you would say, oh, well, they would have told you the family password. Can you tell me what it is?
Yeah. I digress.
Yeah.
An ADHD rant.
So, interesting that we've both had, bad experiences of, reading stuff we probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah. And again, I'm just like, my kids can't read yet. And I'm like, that's good. Because literally I'm like, I'm going to have to make sure you don't pick up my books. Like, I'm not sure how I be like, don't read mum's books. You know what I mean? Like,
true, right?
You know?
Right, let's move on to happier stuff, which is, what are some really good experiences you had reading as a child or any time, but like through your reading journey?
Okay, let's just get it out of the way. Harry Potter, cliche, obviously. But like,
it was good.
I think the thing for Harry Potter is that it was like the first time that a series got really big, that everyone, no matter your kind of walk of life, could find a connection to. It was like, you know, I just, the world, the way that you could kind of like, you know, everybody's like waiting for their 11th birthday, like, oh my God, maybe it's actually real.
It was historic.
Just, you know, truly incredible. Just the timing of when it was published and stuff obviously was massive as well, like that. You can't do it again.
No,
we're past it.
I think they hit a really interesting time where kids still read books. Not that kids don't, but let's be honest, if I was a kid now...
Marketing was definitely having a come up.
Yeah, like I would probably be watching TV more than reading maybe, I don't know.
Absolutely, my kids are gaming.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. And
so people were really into books, but then also CGI... I think the CGI in the Harry Potter movies stands up pretty well, and at that time that was like the best CGI, like it was very good CGI. Because also, now I'm thinking about like Lord of the Rings, that sort of thing was all around the same time too.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the reach.
It doesn't have the reach, but what I mean is like, if this had come out like 10 years earlier, the movies would have been really bad probably. I mean, they're still not.
I literally remember when the premiere, like midnight, like it was midnight at the movie theatres, and I went with like my boyfriend at the time's family, and I dressed up as a pygmy puff. And I was like, made my costume. It was like pink and fluffy. Aww. It was just so much fun.
See, classic. That's such like cute, creative. I dressed up as Moaning Myrtle.
Oh my God. Moaning Myrtle. Like, I just feel like that
the glasses, the pigtails,
so
the acne. It was really, I was Moaning Myrtle. Like,
I was Moaning Myrtle. And I was a pygmy puff.
Yeah. Obviously, trans lives matter. JK sucks. But yes, Harry Potter was a moment.
Yeah, she fucking sucks. We're talking about Harry Potter. We're talking about Harry Potter.
Let's be honest, that was a pretty good experience for a lot of kids.
Yeah, again.
I want to bring up, just because I forgot, I don't know how I didn't think of this now. For me, a fun experience was being, in high school, I worked at Whitcoulls, which is a bookstore, if you don't know, if you don't live in New Zealand. And so having that discount, man, bought so many books. Also got to, like, they have a stack of books in the back that you can just read and take with you and bring back, like a little mini library. I also, at one point, I was at a really big Whitcoulls, working at a really big Whitcoulls, where they would not let you do any non-customer related tasks. Like, you couldn't be shelving, you couldn't be, like, stickering between, like, 11 and 1 o'clock or something. It was like you had to be available for the customers. but the customers don't care. They don't want your help a lot of the time.
No,
so
we
you would
don't.
just have to stalk the aisle. So I would read books in the aisles. Like I would just stand and I read the book that like, the book it was, one of them was by one of the Columbine shooters' mother wrote it about that experience, and yeah, I read that just in the aisle by standing around.
That's
I read
weird.
that book. I also then one time read one on a clearance thing, again just like, and then I waited for it to get, no one kept buying it, and so it kept getting clearance cheaper and cheaper,
Love
and once
it.
it hit like $3, I bought it and finished it at home.
I love that.
So yeah, the Whitcoulls era was pretty fun.
I just think it's fun now to be a reader. Like what we're literally doing right now, talking about books.
Yeah,
like,
true.
You know, like that. I think there's negatives to that as well, to be honest. I think the fact that you can't just read a book and have an opinion in your own home, like it can kind of sometimes feel like, if I read it and no one knows I read it, did I really read it? Like that becomes a thing.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that everything is political, and I'm not disagreeing, everything is political. But the idea, like when we put too much pressure on, like, especially it's often young girls, when we put so much pressure on them to have the right reaction, the right knowledge base to then have the right opinion about something, and we then get real huffy about it if they don't, and we act as if like this is the difference between like liberating us from oppression or not. Like by us I mean, you know, everyone, like in the capitalist hellscape as I call it. That's ridiculous. Like that is ridiculous. That's problematic. It's old rich white dudes.
Yeah.
And it's the systems they made. And so I'm not saying that we shouldn't be like having critical conversations, but I think it's difficult.
It can be daunting, and I would imagine nowadays, again, I think maybe this is like a positive thing about our reading experiences as kids and in high school, is that it was a lot lower stakes. I can imagine as a kid now being really overly influenced by things like BookTok, TikTok,
massive.
BookTube. And even though I did watch a bit of BookTube in high school,
Not to the extent
of now.
Yeah.
We're oversaturated with social media now. It's a completely different thing.
As we make videos that we want you to watch.
Yeah. What are your experiences with reading, either as a child or up until now, in terms of like social groups, friends, that sort of thing? I think it was fun back in school when you were able to obviously be reading side by side by your friends. I remember reading a Jodi Picoult book that had like a really big twist. Like, I know all her books have twists, but this one was like pretty like unexpected and like, whoa. And I recommended it to my friend, and she was reading the end in class, so I got to see her like be like, whoa, and like that was very cool. And obviously adult lives don't allow for you and your friends to read side by side as often as we would like anymore. So that was a nice experience.
My friends weren't really readers either at high school, so I don't really have much thoughts on that, to be honest. Like, we all read Twilight. It's very, you know, cliche kind of thing. In terms of being an adult, I actually really like that it's something that I do on my own primarily. Like, it's my thing, you know? Like, my kids are like, Mum's a reader, Mum reads books. My oldest son likes to count all the books in my library and then be like, wow, you haven't read most of them, and then he'll go and tell everyone, did you know Mum owns this many books and she hasn't read all of them? And you know, like, I enjoy that. I enjoy that it's like I'm the bookish person, that this is my thing, because I don't have any of that competitive stuff. I'm Hannah, I'm the bookish girly. And I also enjoy, like, I have been, where we live at the moment, we're around lots of family members, and I enjoy getting to like introduce them to reading. Like, there's actually heaps of people out there who aren't in the bookish community who want to get into reading, but if you are outside the bookish community looking in, it can be really overwhelming, it can be really daunting, and you also might not even know that the bookish community online exists. And so I really enjoy that I get to be someone with knowledge, you know, and I have book recs for them and I can talk to them about reading, and, you know, like, I enjoy it still being kind of a solo thing for me to identify with.
Yeah, definitely.
Do I want more in real life girlies to read books with? It is on my 10-year bucket list to have a in real life book club.
Love.
That kind of thing, cute. Right? Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that would be cool, but that's, you know, there's something sacred about just reading for yourself.
For sure. I think, yeah, it's interesting. I have been reading for the past few years without watching any booktube or anything, any book talk. It was all just based off finding things in stores or friends' recommendations and things like that. And it's quite nice, it's quite peaceful. There's still, even then, sometimes when I'm with a group of people and they've all heard of a book and I haven't, sometimes I'm like, oh, what am I missing? Like, ooh. And it really shouldn't be like that.
I'm not gonna lie, you need to work on that. Like, that should not be an insecurity.
That should not bother me.
Yeah.
This is prep school
like,
trauma,
that is just
probably.
not a thing.
Yeah.
I don't think your friends give a shit either.
No, they would not. 100%.
Yeah,
they would
that's
not.
Definitely. I really have been getting a little bit like frustrated at, this is going to sound really petty, the amount of people who are just like going on and on about their like books to besties online.
Oh.
I find it like this really weird, I hate feeling left out of things that you shouldn't feel left out of. But if you're following a creator and then it's like their whole, like a massive part of their content suddenly becomes about their friendship. Okay, it's cool, like it's good, I get it. It's just like
that's what you're following.
I get my marketing hat on and I'm like, this is giving personal Instagram vibes. And I get that maybe your bookish account is your personal account in that sense, and you can post whatever the fuck you want, go hard. I just think for me, it's like, I just think that I see it a lot lately, and I think that in itself is a trend. Talking about your books to best friends.
Okay, yeah.
And I do find it interesting, like for me, it just would be impossible for me to have any kind of friendships in the way that they exist online. The level of commitment to being on social media, being online, having online chats, Zoom chats, middle of the night chats, it's just completely
unrealistic
for the lifestyle that I personally have. Yeah, I don't want to hear about your bookish best friend every second post. I want to hear about what you're reading.
Yeah.
I want to hear about what you think of your books. Not. I think it's an interesting one in terms of like, you can make whatever content you want, but if you make it, then people are allowed to comment on it. So, go hard, comment shit about our content. Like, you know, that's your prerogative to do so.
To end on a positive note, I would say, I love, in terms of reading and social, there is, though, nothing like meeting someone, and especially what I love is that this can be your best friend, or it could be someone you literally met that day, and if you've both read the same book, it's like a match. It's like something clicks and you're like, oh, and then you can talk to them about it and chat about it. And it's always great fun.
Yeah.
And I think those in-person like combos, not to hate on, again, booktube is great, but it's really nice when that happens in real life too. And especially when it can help bond you with someone that you're like not. Otherwise, you might not think
I had that with my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Literally went into her room. Oh my God, you're into reading now? Died. Literally like, awesome. Now we have shit to chat about.
Yeah.
The conversation was like, have you read this? Have you read this? But still, like, we were chatting.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun. And in fact, maybe I should remind myself that that's a reason I should really be making more of an effort to watch and be more proactive about booktube, is because I do love talking about books once I've read them, but often my friends haven't read them. It's uncommon if we suddenly like
Read
book
the same
lovers,
thing.
Emily Henry. I met my friend up and I'd finished it a week ago or something, and she happened to have finished it a few days ago, and that was pure coincidence, and it was like, oh, yay, we can talk about it. And if I really crave that, I know it's online. I just need to go out there and start chatting to people. Yeah. What a world we live in, where we can read books and enjoy them.
Would you really go and chat to people online though?
No, I just mean I guess I can watch a video of someone
right.
of someone talking about the book.
I know people do that.
I mean, I could comment maybe.
Yeah. I feel like we're grandmas in the social media space.
Yeah. Okay, so that is sort of our reading journey from beginning to end. Let us know. Answer these questions too if you want to, and I'd be really interested in people's answers.